Last but not least, Mr. Matthew Greene. So Matt is the managing partner of 420 Group, LLC. In 2015, he recognized the phenomenal growth in consumer-led demand for medical and recreational cannabis, as Deborah has shown is out there. So Matt founded the 420 Group, LLC. It's a boutique investment firm, and they're focused on the ancillary businesses and technologies being developed to support the legal cannabis industry. So, Matt's going to speak to the bleeding edge cannabis industry technology. That is his area of expertise, and I'll let it take from there. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you to Binghamton for inviting me and the rest of the gang here to present our various dimensions of the wonderful world of cannabis. As Dana mentioned, in 2015, I started a boutique investment firm that was to be focused on the ancillary part of the cannabis business, meaning investing in technology specifically that don't touch the plant, and I'll get into some of the aspects of what I'm talking about in a minute. So I just wanted to give you a bit of background to me, sort of professionally, not personally. I am not a Binghamton graduate. I was exposed to marijuana in college and maybe even high school, and so I still sometimes have to test product from some of the companies that I invested. But regardless, I was fortunate enough to be introduced to the technology sector in 1987, sort of starting at the top of the heap by working with a guy named Steve Jobs and helping him launch Next Computers. So it was a wonderful vantage point. And I think Gary, wasn't Ammirati and Puris a client of yours and your firms?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we might have met way back in the 80s at our first go around. So that was a wonderful wonderful introduction to technology for me. It gave me sort of a great perspective, and sort of on the wings of Gossamer of Steve, I was able to take some of those credentials and leverage it into the nascent internet media and ad tech space. So I just wanted to give a few examples of the kinds of dominant companies in 1998 that were in play. This company, Prodigy, was actually headquartered around the corner from here. I think across the street from the train station. I remember having to get out of the train station and walk across the street and go visit them. AOL, Yahoo, so these are obviously all media companies, but they of course were all driven by technology, and two of them sort of still are. But what's happened since 1998 to present day, this is a chart and a graph that is, it's actually called a Lumascape, and it identifies different sectors of the internet media tech space, sort of by category. So whether it's a media company or a content company, social media company, etc. These are all technology companies. And this particular Lumascape is littered with about 10,000 companies. And these are the very leading companies in the technology sector that all service internet and media technology space. But what I recognized about cannabis in 2015, it was exactly at the time and place that the internet media and ad tech space was in 2015 when I first got exposed to it. And this is sort of an equivalent Lumascape put together by CD Insights, which is a well-known financial services research firm. Now, it's by no means complete, but these are some of the leading companies that some of the attorneys in this group have actually worked with. Brands like Ease and Leaf, and Leafly's up there, etc. But what's going to happen, obviously, in the cannabis space, I'm predicting by, at the very latest, 2021, is that there will be over 2,000 really important cannabis technology companies that support the industry. Obviously, I have a particular sort of attitude and perspective about technology. It's so important in our daily lives. We all live and thrive by Google, by Facebook, etc. I've had the good fortune to work with those companies when they were nascent as well. And So I've been to this rodeo before, and I'm going to do it again in cannabis because it's really exciting and dynamic. And actually, the end product does good for people, either medicinally or recreationally. So, Neil and Deborah talked to a little bit about the sort of the business size and scope and scale of what's happening right now. In 2016, the industry itself, just from a pure product perspective, which means really flower, anything that was THC infused, so flower, concentrates, things like edibles, infused vape pens, stuff like that. That industry is worth, in 2016, $6.5 billion. What I find more intriguing, just from an investor perspective and growth perspective, is the size of the ancillary marketplace. In other words, companies that support the sale, manufacture, distribution, marketing, lawyering, you name it. That industry is worth $13 billion. So combined in 2016, it's a $20 billion marketplace. That's a pretty healthy size for a very new industry. And of course, things are growing. So there are basically three important research firms in the cannabis space. And I'm going to show you a couple of charts, maybe 3 or 4 charts, and I'm doing my best to sort of distribute the information and the data one by one from those particular companies. This particular chart is from an outfit called Frontier Financial. This is their size of estimate marketplace from 2016 to 2025. So we talked about in 2016 the core product, THC infused product, being worth $6.5 billion. And they're projecting a $24 billion marketplace by 2025. I actually just saw from a different research company, the data's right now, it's really all fungible. And while everybody expects California to sort of be an important inflection moment in time for the industry, it will be. But I'm predicting sort of all bets are off come California. One research company pointed to 2021 and said that industry is going to be worth $30 billion. So $6 billion more than what this company is projecting in 2025. So it's going to be that kind of weird data for the next 10 years as more states come online, either medicinally and or adult use. Neil would approve that term rather than recreational. We're trying to use terms that make us seem more legitimate, and in fact, it's probably a good practice. So my point that I made earlier on the slide before this was, so while this industry in 2025 is going to be $24 billion, I'm saying the size of marketplace is going to be double that because of the ancillary businesses that are needed to support the sale, the manufacture, and distribution of cannabis-related products. So how big is big? This is a great chart because it talks about the number of cannabis businesses that are in the US, and it does a great job at sort of segmenting out who's who and what's what. So from the medical and dispensaries and recreational stores, there's somewhere between 3,400 and 4,700 dispensaries and stores where if we live in an adult use state, we can call up and order our favorite product or discover new and additional products. Infused product manufacturers, which is, Deborah did a good job at highlighting a company called Organa. They're an infused product manufacturer. It's called MIP, so they have a marijuana infused product license from whatever state that they're in. They're in Colorado, Deborah?
Colorado and California.
California too, great. Wholesale cultivators end of the business. So these are farms, whether they're small or super huge. There's a lot of really cool companies already in development or rolling out their cultivation farms. And one of them is actually really smart. It has somehow gotten the brand name Coachella. And they're building a city in Coachella called Coachella, which is all about sort of creating a community where lots of different companies can come in and grow and infuse products and make branded products. And it's really an interesting concept. And it requires an enormous amount of money to get it going, but they're getting it going. To testing labs. So testing labs are all important. It's mandated. Every single company that's in the business of manufacturing products that can get you high have to be tested. And there are certainly state laws, and there are licensed testing labs. You have to run your product through those testing labs. They rank, or they test the product for potency and for cannabinoids and terpenes and all sorts of other stuff that comes close to how you think the labeling should look like for your product. And last but not least, there's those wonderful ancillary companies, including technology companies and branded product companies. And there's something like 14,000 now to 20,000 companies right now. So that's obviously, Deborah talked about or characterized, follow the money, or this is where the money is flowing. This is the sector in where the money is flowing. Another interesting fact, and this is a chart that I love, because when you open up a dispensary, you gotta hire people. You've gotta hire security firms. Everybody gets paid a salary. Everybody buys a house and buys a car and buys food at the local Pathmark or wherever. And all of those jobs that are being provided, that Neil talked about, 150,000 jobs right now, everybody's gotta eat, drive a car, buy a house. So the economic impact from sales of product through dispensaries and stores and websites or mobile apps like these has an additional impact of somewhere between 10 billion to 57 billion, depending upon the year and the graph there. It's on top of the $50 billion that I talked about earlier. So it's now getting scale. Right now there's scale. So at 420 Group, we tend to focus on those ancillary companies that actually don't touch the plant. You probably can't see this because I can't see it. But we sort of lumped or grouped and segmented out sort of 4 major buckets. Science and technology being one of them, media and marketing, which means online and offline websites and apps and you name it. Financial and fintech. So it's a cash-based business right now, and will be for the foreseeable future. So you go to a dispensary, you buy your pre-roll or whatever product, and you pull out your wallet and you pay cash. Credit card's not accepted, thank you very much. So that opens up an entirely new category for entrepreneurs to come in and create an app that allows you to pay via some other, like a PayPal, some other sort of mechanism for making a cash-based transaction that's not credit card-based nor cash-based. So that's a really interesting category. Then of course there's agricultural and cultivation. So that includes what we call picks and shovels. So you're an LED light manufacturer and you're servicing the indoor grow facilities. You've got the latest in technology. By all means, invent it and sell it, there will be buyers. So what's in the marketplace, what's working? I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at a couple of live examples. This is a company called Greene. They have, I'm gonna go quickly through this. Right now they have 30,000, it's an app. They have 36,000 users that use their app. It's a discovery app. It allows you as the user to go in and find and discover products that you think you might be interested in, or you know that you're interested in, and now you want to locate it on a local basis, and you want to pull out your non-credit card and make that purchase, and oh, by the way, get it delivered to your house. So Greene is doing a wonderful job. They not only serve the consumer, but they also connect that consumer to retailers or dispensaries at a local level in about 150 cities. That's a lot of cities. And so they're really well poised to grow to 300 cities and more. As more and more states come online, they'll be there. This is a company that we actually invested in, so full disclosure. This is a terrific ad network, so it harks back to my earlier days in the internet and ad media tech space. What's really cool about Adistry is there's a sort of not a high level of sophistication amongst products and brand manufacturers, product manufacturers and dispensaries from a marketing perspective. Nor does Google allow cannabis advertising, nor does Facebook and the other legitimate media outlets that are top of mind. And so what Adistry does is allow advertisers and marketers to go into their back end, register for free, and start to discover media opportunities on their very own. And if you were to drill down on the Adistry site, ultimately what you get to is it's not a review page, it's actually, this is what this particular company is offering from a media site perspective. It gives you the demography, the page views on a monthly basis, the demographic breakout, gender, location, age groups, all that good stuff, a brief description of what the site does and who they're targeting and who they appeal to. And the really cool thing about Adistry is, as a marketer, you can discover the media sites, social influencers, put them in your cart, hit the buy button, and you're off to the races. You can actually buy that media inventory, and then there's a whole different process that takes place where, as a marketer, I got to create my ads. Adistry can help you do that, can help you cycle it. It's a complicated process, reminds me very much of 1998 again, of the internet space and where we were back then. They're doing it for in the cannabis space. It's very definitely needed. Oh, here's another app. This is a really awesome app. So Yasmin talked about sort of the medical side of the house, and so what are the kinds of solutions out there that can help me as a pain sufferer of some kind, or I have leprosy, or I suffer from some sort of ailment. Go into PopBot, identify the ailment that you're trying to discover whether or not there is a cannabis-related solution that can aid and abet and help solve that particular problem. It's also interesting because it aggregates peer-reviewed products and types of strains, et cetera, to help you further identify and drill down into that that cannabis product that can possibly help you, and then let you actually find a local place that sells that particular solution, medical solution, pull the buy button, get it delivered. So that's providing a really interesting service in the category. Neil mentioned this before. So right now, flower, what we call flower, smokable, represents about 60% of the marketplace, 65% of the marketplace. It's dominant. Right behind that, the fastest growing sectors happen to be something called concentrates, which is what Organa makes. That fluidy product, it's a smokable, it's a combustible product. What's happening right now is something called infused products and edibles especially. So when I told my friends, lawyers, doctors, technology, media people that I was getting into the cannabis business, 100% of them said, oh my God, we just did edibles by the pool last weekend. We got so messed up and we had a 2-day recovery period. That's fairly accurate, and it happens all the time. One of our advisors works with a guy named Richard Branson. He was exposed to a new project that we're working on, and he said, I have the same problem. And
It's usually the man.
it is actually gender specific. Is that because men tend to overindulge across the...
Men after an hour when they don't feel it, eat another one.
Right, so they overdose.
And then they're destroyed.
They overdose. So I'm being candid with you, in 2 weeks' time, we're launching a new product that I've founded. It's called Edible Sciences. This is not an appeal for a funding pitch for that, but we're very excited about it, and I wanted to tell you what it does. So there's a huge problem, as you just heard, in the edible space, which is dosing. People tend to overdose. The manufacturing process is I would describe it as inaccurate at best. There have been some studies from Johns Hopkins and elsewhere that suggest that 83% of all infused products are mislabeled. So when you buy a cannabis-infused chocolate bar, Colorado, it'll at 100 milligrams, it's segmented into 10 slices. Each slice is supposed to be worth 10 milligrams of THC. It's impossible to produce and bake or make a gummy or a chocolate bar or whatever and have that THC be evenly and accurately distributed throughout that particular product. So what we've done is we're bringing 3D printing technologies to the marketplace. We're launching in 2 weeks at a well-known conference in Oakland. 3D printing allows us to literally print accurate edibles all day long, edible to edible, potency to potency, product type to product types of gummies and mints and tablets, and so those are sort of the best sellers right now in the edible space. Other dimensions of edibles include people like to drink like sodas that are THC infused. I wouldn't do it, but a lot of people do. Really what this means is we're elevating the game, and we're bringing a new standard and new practice to the production of edibles, and I think it's going to be very well received. We'll see, starting in 2 weeks. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.